Hello, welcome to another 8-minute demo. Today we're going to be looking at the Opalis.NET scripting object, this time with PowerShell. My name is Charles Joy. I'm a tech evangelist, solutions architecture for the System Center suite of products. So as we promised, we're going to do some PowerShell in Opalis. We're going to use the run.NET script object, and we're going to go ahead and take a look how easy it is to implement your PowerShell scripts within Opalis. So let's get started with something very simple. So let's just go to PowerShell, and I have a command here that I'm going to run because no PowerShell example is complete without a get process. So we're just going to do a get-process where process name matches Opalis. So we're going to see that we get the 3 results there. So let's take that script and put it into Opalis. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Go to Opalis. I'm going to drag out a run.NET script object. Open it up. Choose PowerShell. We'll paste it in here. Same exact thing. Nothing in the Advanced tab. In the Publish Data tab, we're going to add a variable. So we're going to just call it output for now. And we need a variable name that's going to be used in the script. So we should do output there. Go back to the details, and then we obviously want to put the values into the output variable. And of course put a $sign for PowerShell. Go ahead and hit finish. We're going to run this through the testing console, and we're going to take a look at the results. Looks like we have some output here. And we have the 3 values similar to what we see here. Now obviously we'd have to do some parsing to get this information out, but I can show you how to do that real quick without a problem. So now we're going to go ahead and parse that output as promised. So to remember what the output looked like, I pasted it into a file here. So we want to just get this information without the parentheses. So we're going to use the field function to first find this first parenthesis, and then grab everything to the right of that, and then look for this parenthesis and grab everything to the left of what's left. So we're going to go ahead and do that in Opalis. So I'm going to grab a send platform event here, drag it over, open it up. This is just be information. We can actually put the output right here. So output, and then field. We use publish data, output. And then it's going to be kind of big, so I'm going to go expand here, and we're going to do the first parse, which is on the first paren. Go ahead and do that. So that would be comma, quote, first paren, quote, comma, and we want everything to the right of it, so it's field 2, and if we just wanted that and the last parenthesis, we can move on with this. But we're going to nest our field and put another one in here. And outside of here, we're going to do comma, single quote, end paren, single quote, comma, 1, end paren. So what this will do is give you the opportunity to parse that data out, just that one process name. So we're going to go ahead and OK. Finish. We're going to see the testing console, and we're going to be able to see this happen live. So I'm just going to step over this time so we'll watch it. You can see here, there's the Opalis Action Service, Management Service, and Remoting Service. And it was done by parsing that output just like I showed earlier. So let's recap on the important aspects of the run.NET script object with PowerShell. First, you choose a language, PowerShell. Next, you paste in the script you're going to use, taking note of the variable that you use, or the variables that you use, in the published data. Because whatever you use here should be the same thing except for the $sign in the script. And then you could name it whatever you'd like, and you could also delineate as date, time, integer, or string. Keep in mind there's nothing to do on the Advanced tab. And while you can make the name change in the General tab, there's really not much to do there either. You could also use the Run Behavior tab to flatten if you'd want, but the most important parts of the Run.NET scripting object for PowerShell are on the Details tab with the language, the script, and then the Publish Data tab for the actual published data outputs. And remember that link between the output variable here and the variable you use here, just with the $sign. And keep in mind as well, you can do multiple outputs, not just one. So let's stop messing around with this kid stuff and get to more cool and interesting PowerShell scripts and how they might relate to you day to day. We're going to go ahead and close this out and go down into a Hyper-V example. So let's take a look at just a very simple Hyper-V example. And I'm using the Hyper-V PowerShell that's available on CodePlex right now. So if we open up this, you're going to see something very different than we're used to. You can see that I'm using PowerShell. In the published data, I do not have anything because I don't care to capture the results. But in the details here for the actual script, we can see that everything's blue text. Almost everything. What I'm doing here is importing a module, performing a command on a VM on a particular server, and then removing the module. But everything's blue text because it's all published data, which makes it 100% dynamic. And we're going to actually watch this live. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through the testing console. You can see a lot of that, if all of that blue text published data is coming from this custom start object. So I'm going to pass in the Hyper-V server, the VM, and the command, and we're going to take a look at this interacting with the system live. So we'll use the testing console just so we can watch the output live. We'll go ahead and hit step over. The Hyper-V server is going to be VM. The virtual machine is going to be and the command is going to be shut down VM. Now, that is a command that is reserved for that PowerShell script for Hyper-V, but I could have made it do whatever I want, but I'm just going to pass in that command. Now, before I actually run this, we're going to take a look at the machines that we'll watch while it's happening live. So, as promised, here's the Hyper-V server. Here is the actual VM, and then the VM here is at the Control-Delete screen, but you'll see when we pass the shutdown command to it, it'll shut down. So we're going to pop back over here quick, hit OK. Now if we take a look, when we hit next, it's ready to execute, and our script here has everything that we need to execute that command. So let's go ahead and I'm going to hit next, and then I'm going to bring up those other two screens. You can see that it's shutting down, and then up here it is already off. Now we could do the reverse of that. This is still waiting for it to be updated. Now it's done. Now we can do the reverse of that, and I'll just hit run this time. Same thing, scdemo 023, VM is cjdemo-win7-1, and then the command is going to be start VM, and we'll be able to watch this happen live as well. It's already starting to be running. There it is at the top. You can see that it started up, and I didn't hit any other buttons. I just used the Opalis workflow, and you can see that we executed the PowerShell that was passed in dynamically. You can see there's a little snippet of the PowerShell itself. There's one final example I want to show you, and it's just a simple scan of VM guest data. So we're going to open up the PowerShell here. I'm going to expand it. And we see here we're still going to import our module and remove our module, but instead, for this very simple PowerShell script, we're going to populate the VM host with a database with the database published data, which means I could pump as much data into this as I want, so as many hosts as I want to scan. Then we're going to do a quick get VM server, basically get all the VMs on that particular server, put it into an array, and then we're going to do a for each through that array. Check the heartbeat to make sure it's actually up, so because we don't want to try to get the information from it if it's down. And then we're going to actually use the get VM kvp command to get the VM, the FQDN, OS name, OS version, and the network IP address. This is a great way to interrogate the Hyper-V hosts and all their VMs to get some information that you might want. So I suppose you want to see this working, so we'll go ahead and close out of this. I'll go to the Publish Data tab real quick to show you that I'm capturing VM host and then the VM guest data as the array here. So if we go back there, we can see VM host I'm capturing, and then separately I'm publishing and capturing the array of VM information here. So we'll go ahead and kick this off. We'll use the testing console. So let's do step over and machine SC demo 023. Hit OK. Next, essentially query for SC demo 023. Then you can see here the difference between the design time and the runtime. You can see 023 is passed in. It's going to execute this, and that's going to produce a bunch of data, which we're going to look at. Alright, it's finished. You can see now it's going to import the first bit of data into the database. You can see there's the host, the computer name, the FQDN, the IP address, what's on that server, subversion, and then a current timestamp for the reporting purposes of that. So let's take a look at what that looks like from the .NET scripting object. You can see that I had to parse a bunch of this information out, but I did so using the same methodology I parsed earlier. It's very possible, it may be a little more difficult than you expect, but it's very possible to get all the information you want out of the PowerShell scripting object. You may also want to trim down the data that you're getting from PowerShell within your PowerShell command. But you can see that it is working now. I'm going to let this run so it'll insert all those rows. And I hope you enjoyed this PowerShell for .NET scripting object within Opalis. We certainly appreciate you watching. Thank you.